Welcome to the video on macros and macro preprocessor. So what is a macro? Basically, macro is a unit of specification for program generation through expansion, right? So we will see what is a macro with an example. So how will you define a macro? So defining a macro, right? So what is macro here is, let's say there will be a keyword known as macro. Then there will be name of the macro that you have to specify. So let's say here I'm saying there is kel name macro, and I'm passing some parameter to it by having some position of that is ampersand, let's say here. And after that, let's say if I'm having some statement like add array comma address of p, right, and I'm having subtract, then I'm having something like breg address of p, and then I'm saying macro end with the keyword e macro and end. So what do we understand from this is the name of the macro. Understand, after the macro, whatever the string is there, that is the name of the macro, and these are the parameters. So this is name of the macro, this is name of the macro, and this is the end of macro. Understand, this is end of macro, and this is parameters to the macro, and this is the body, or sometimes no, it is said like model statements, right? And the parameters, no, whatever is specified, that will be submitted to the macros instructions. So these are the frequently occurring lines. This would be what? This would be frequently occurring lines or the instructions, right? Occurring instructions. Okay, so this is how you can define a macro, and we'll see all of those things in these things in detail, and then with the help of detailed examples. Okay, so as of now, what we have done is I have told you how to define a macro. Now, how will you call a macro? So one is this one, another is calling a macro. Calling a macro is done by just saying, by calling the name of the macro and the parameter. So what will be there here? CAL, and maybe I can say here X. So wherever X is there, now wherever ampersand P is there, this will be submitted to this. So what is the meaning of this is that this is the actual parameter and this is the formal parameter. So formal parameters would be replaced by the actual parameter while execution, right? Now, what will be the meaning? What is the meaning of this? So whenever I say cal of X, then there is going to be some expansion. So the third thing which is of interest to us is how the expansion of a macro is done, right? So what will be the expansion? So expansion basically is saying that I am asking for cal of X, right? So cal of X and before endem. So whatever the instructions are there, this becomes basically the extension of or expansion of the macro. Right, so expansion of the macro would be what? It is cal X. So wherever ampersand P is there, I would say it is X. Right, so here also what will happen is, at both these places, I would say X and X. Right, so this is expansion of a macro. Expansion of a macro. So whenever I am calling a macro, so let's say cal of X was there. So this is actually expanded to this many statements, right? So this is how the calling a macro is going to be there. So this X would be submitted to all the other parameters, right? So macro cannot, see what is the meaning of this is, what is the difference between macro and subroutine here, that we must understand. So yes, macros, if you see, macro is not going to return anything, right? It is just taking the parameters as the input, and it is just saying that what will be the substitution for that. So macro expansion is the only thing that is done by the macro, right? So let me run this, and now what I'm saying is macros and functions. If I say what is the difference between macros and function, okay, a function or procedure or subroutine, whatever. So what is the meaning of this is macros do not return any value. Do not return anything. Whereas there is no functions will return. Returning of value is possible. Return a value is possible, right? And here there is expansion which is going to be there. Macros are expanded. Macros are expanded. So what is going to happen is your line of code is going to be higher. Line of code is going to be increasing, right? Whereas when we talk of the function, your readability is high and your line of code will be comparatively less. But there is nothing like macro. So there is actually the execution part. No, these functions will be taking some jump sort of thing and will execute at the place where it is there. Whereas here there will be, wherever there is a macro call, whatever the statements are there inside the macro, all those statements will be replaced by that macro call, right? So here this will be one-to-many translation sort of thing which is going to be there in the macro. Whereas here there is no more going to be one-to-many translation. What is in turn happening is it is going to make a jump to the appropriate place or the subroutine, and then it will continue. And even it could be recursive functions also. In this way also it could be there. So different types of internal functions and other things would be there. That does not mean that macros cannot have looping sort of thing. Macros can also have looping within that, right? Within itself. So that all those things we will see. But understand, here it cannot return any value, whereas here it can return any value, return values, more than one values also. Macros are expanded at the time of the call, and therefore line of code will be higher, whereas here line of code would be less. And it is basically for improving the readability. There will be a jump during the time of execution at the appropriate place, and the execution will continue from that point. Okay, so macro cannot return a value, and parameters, no, parameters will, the concept of the parameter is the same. We know what is actual parameter and the formal parameter. But in terms of macros, now we are supposed to see what are the various parameters and how the parameters could be handled by the macros, right? So we'll see that part. Okay, so positional parameter. Let us see what is positional parameter. What is the meaning of positional parameter? That positions are actually fixed. So the example of this I am writing here. You may please note down with me. Let's say here there is a macro name which is M1, right? And I am saying positional parameters P1, ampersand P2, and ampersand P3. These are the three positional parameters. Any positional parameter will be specified with the ampersand n before it, right? So there will be multiple statements which could be there as part of the macro, and it will end with the m and sort of end macro sort of thing. And whenever I'm going to call it, how will I call it is something like M1, and I'm going to say, let's say B register, okay, comma A, comma B. So what will happen is this P1 would be given the value of B register, this P2 would be given the value of A, and this P3 will be getting the value of B. So I mean, what is going to happen is one-to-one mapping would be done. But we know here in this case that no, P1 has to be assigned with the value of B reg. That's why it was possible. How about if I change the values here and there? I mean, if I say M1 A, comma B reg, comma B, then there could be a possibility of incorrect output, right? So what I'm saying is M1, if I say A, comma B reg, comma B. So what will be happening is this will result into incorrect output, right? So positional parameters means they are waiting for some specific item to be provided. I mean, registers means registers, some variables means variables. In that way, it is expecting the variables to be provided. You cannot provide breg instead of A and so on. But if you want to do it, I mean, there are ways and means to handle such situations, right? So positional parameter will not matter in the keyword option, right? So how can you specify the keyword options for the parameter? So let me give you the example for that. Okay, so if I what is the meaning of this is I'm saying here that there is a macro, I'm saying keyword base parameters, right? Keyword is somewhere, let's say here P. So keyword is macro is let's okay, keyword, we'll do it little later. Let's say M1 is equal M1 ampersand P1, and I will say here equal to. This is what is the if the specification is like this, ampersand P2 equal to ampersand P3 equal to. So in this way, if there is equal to sign which is specified, then we call it as it is keyword based positional parameter. And position doesn't matter. See, meaning is keyword keywords are there and the position doesn't matter. So whenever I want to call it, what I will do is ampersand of P1 is equal to, I can specify here A, right? And if I say ampersand of P2 is equal to B, and ampersand of P3 equal to C. So now see, now there is a flexibility. Writing this in any order can work, but value of P1 will go to A. I mean, A will be going to P1 only, B will be going to P2 only, and C will be going to P3 only. So here order we can change. Earlier in the previous case, it was not possible to change the order. B rec A and B has to be the same way. I cannot write here A, B rec, B. Right. So this is the flexibility which is there, and the other parameter possible parameter passing could be like default parameter passing mechanism. So what is there inside the default parameter passing mechanism? So let us see that. Okay. So what is default parameter? Default parameter passing. Okay. So I'm saying macro. Then I'm saying the name of the macro, ampersand P1 equal to A. So I'm making it fixed. No, the default parameter. So if the value is not specified, then default value will be considered. Right. The default value is A and default value is B for P1 and P2. If I want to change it, I can change it. But otherwise, it will take the default value as A and B. So here there could be multiple statements. And when I'm calling this, how will I call this? Let's say if I say ampersand of P1, if I don't want to change it, so I will say this much, so value of A will remain as it is. And if I now want to change the value of P2 to, let's say, C, in that case, what I should do is ampersand of P2 equal to C. So what will happen is this B will be replaced by C. I mean, this is going here, and the value of A remains as it is. Right. So this is the default parameter option which is there. Right. So keyword based positional parameters. I mean, position is not there here. In the earlier case, positional parameter was there. So I mean, and the last option is like you can combine everything. So here we have already combined it. See, P1 equal to A, default value, then value is changed. And if I say here, if I also even say that no, this is let's say equal to, right? So whatever you specify, that will go, right? So ampersand of P2. So I'm mixing all the possible things which are there. So I can even have the keyword which is specified with the default value also which is specified, and the positional parameter also which could be specified. So in that way, I mean the parameters could be submitted to the system. Now, okay. So what I'm taking here into consideration is that you're knowing what is a macro. Macro, I told you that no, there is a statements, a set of statement which is similar to a function, right? What I'm saying here now is, let's say here there are group of statements, and there is some macro definition which you are giving here. Definition in the sense this macro is present here, let's say, and whenever you are calling a macro, so if I say here it is CAL. In the previous case, I have taken the example of CAL, right? Cal X. So this X would be there, which is let's say if there are two statements, so this will be replaced by two statements, right? And there could be multiple statements which are there, Cal Y. So this will be again replaced, and then will be having multiple statements. So what is going to happen is at some level, this statement is going to get replaced by this statement. This statement is supposed to be replaced by these statements, right? So whenever you are going to call the macros with different parameters, no, the statements which are there, these are supposed to be replaced. So this is known as macro expansion, right? And this is very important because no, most of the time what happens is you may have the code which is of, let's say, size 100 line of code, or two, maybe even 1000 line of code. In that case, and if you are using it multiple times, then writing this type of macro could be useful to you, right? I hope you are getting this. So it is similar to a function, but here before it is submitted to the assembler, the expansion of the macro is going to take place, right? Now, there could be a macro which could be nested. So what is the meaning of this? Nested macros. Right. So let us see that what is the meaning of nested macro calls. So we are taking the example of all the assembly related programs, so it becomes easy for you. And mostly, this is going to come up in the assembly programming only, right? So macro, then let's say I'm saying cal and p, right? And I'm saying, let's say move r, areg. So this move r and all these instructions we have seen in the assembler, if you can recall the assembler videos, right? And then there is some instruction like add and % of p 1, right? So if this is the situation, then macro end, okay, this is given to you, right? So after this, let's say this is the macro for the macro name cal. Okay, now I'm writing a specification. Let's say macro, another macro I'm saying, which is saying cal1, which is ampersand of p1, ampersand of p2, and ampersand of p3. Okay, and this macro is going to call this macro. So this is another macro. Cal1 is another macro which is calling this previous macro. So it is nothing but nesting of another macros, right? I'm saying this parameter to be specific, which is provided here is this cal p2 and cal p3. Okay, so in this way 3 parameters are provided and macro is ended, right? So what is the meaning of this is this is one macro and this is another macro, but this macro is making a call to this previous macro. So there are nested macro calls which are there. So what will happen is, so when I say here, let's say I'm saying I'm calling this cal1, I'm calling this cal1 macro with the parameter x, y, and z. So what is the meaning of this? P1 will get the value of x, P2 will get the value of y, and P3 will get the value of z. Okay, so P1 will be given to cal of this one, so cal of x, then this will be cal of y, and this is cal of z. Okay, so this is going to happen, and what is the expansion which is going to be there for this? There will be move r, so move r, then areg, comma x, right? So n% of p will be replaced by x here in this case, and add x comma 1. Okay, similarly this will be areg comma y, and all these things would be there, y comma 1. Okay, and areg comma z, and z comma 1. So all other things will remain the same. Add, right? Add move r in this way. Okay, so this is for this expansion, and this is for this expansion. So this multiple, I mean, one line statement, it can have multiple lines inside the macro. But here for simplicity, I'm giving you the simple, 2-line statement so that it becomes easy for you. So this is one way of giving you the macros. Nested macro calls. Another way is also possible. See, I'm calling another macro, but I can even specify the macro directly within the macro, right? So that is also one way of putting up the nested macro calls, or maybe using the nested macro calls. So for that, what I'm saying here is, I hope you're getting this, right? So what I'm saying is there is a macro, and within this itself, I'm saying there is another macro in the specification itself. So maybe let's say macro P1, right? I'm not giving you the complete code, but after this, no, there is another macro. So macro with, let's say here P2, right? And then it ends, right? There is some statement, and then it is macro end, end, macro end. Okay. So now, once this macro is ended, macro end. Macro end and macro end for the previous one. There could be multiple lines here also. So once this macro is executed, maybe it is saying that there is one more macro. So this is the context which is this one. So here the context of this is P2 and this is the context which is P1 in which it is executed. There could be some statements here also and there could be some statements here also. So in this way, you can even specify the different types of nested macro. This is another way of putting up the nested macro calls. So what we have seen till now is where we use the macro is where when we have some code which is going to get repeated multiple times, all such codes can be put up in the form of macro. Similar to function, but it does not return any value, right? And it does not, the performance will be degraded. Why? Because there will be some processing which would be required and the line of code also would be bigger compared to the functions and the subroutines, right? So now what we will see is, we'll see some of the important functionalities or the instructions which are there in this macros. So normally, we call it as advanced macro facilities. So advanced macro facilities. So what is the meaning of this is, there are few constructs which are important for you to understand. One is AIF. What is AIF is like it is going to be like AIF, then there is some condition which you want to specify. So I can specify here some expression which will be there, and based upon the expression there will be a jump. If the condition is true, if this expression turns out to be true, there will be condition basically less than, greater than, and so on, right? So if the condition is true, then it is going to make a jump to a sequential symbol. Sequential symbol, which is nothing but a label, or I can say it is nothing but a label. So if the condition is true, then it is going to make a jump to the sequential symbol, right? And this is the meaning of this. So here we will take one example and then I will explain you. The second one is AGO. AGO. This is an unconditional go-to. It is similar to, it is unconditional go-to. I mean, go is nothing but jump, unconditional go-to construct, right? So AGO and then the label. So sequential symbol you can directly specify like this, AGO, and then the label, sequential symbol, right? So sequential symbol, if you specify, it will make a jump to that label, and that is how it can work, right? So this is much simple. And the third variable, which is which you should understand, I mean, third advanced macro facility which you should know is one is expansion time variable. So we'll see that expansion time variable. Expansion time variable. So how do we specify this expansion time variable? One is local LCL and the local followed by the EV specification, expansion variable specification, right? Expansion variable specification. I can even say here this is something like ampersand value or so, right? So ampersand variable name. Right. To keep this simple, it is both are same, right? So once this variable name is defined as type LCL, local expansion variable, then we need to set the value into it. So what we can do is variable name here. I mean the variable name I'm using here, this one. So this is supposed to be given the value using the set construct. So set is going to be used, and the value that you want to submit is supposed to be specified here. Either it can be expression, or it could be constant also. So directly you can specify the value, and this value finally would be, I mean, once we specify this, it will be submitted to this variable name, right? So one thing that we have seen is local expansion of time variable, which is local, and there could be another global also. So there could be a global expansion variable also, GBL in capital, right? So GBL followed by expansion variable specification, EV specification, and you will have one or more expansion variable specifications in this way. So you just say that no, this variable is a global variable. Here, this variable is a local variable, and then again anyway you have to set the variable value before you can use it. So this is something like shared variable, and this is local to the macro, right? So I think this is easy for you to understand. Now let us take an example of a loop to understand how the loops could be created using macro and using this type of advanced macro facilities. So okay, we'll see in the next video. Okay, before going into the next video, what I would suggest here is let me take an example of a loop here using all the advanced directives. I mean AIF and AGO sort of thing that we have seen. So what is here I'm saying is this is a macro, and in this macro there is a macro name is eval, and there are two variables which I'm submitting here. So this is the name of the macro with the parameters, and or maybe I can even say it is nothing but the macro prototype statement, right? So some books will also say it is macro prototype statement in this way. These are the model statements in that way. So macro body is normally known as model statements in most of the books. So in that way also it could be coming up in front of you. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible so that you can understand it. Whichever book then if you want to follow, you can follow it. Right. So there is something like some macro definitions which are there. So this is my macro definition. Okay. And there are statements which are there. There is a sequential statement. There is some expansion variable which is present with some directives which is a local, and there are two variables, positional variables, and so on. So there are a number of things which are there. Right. So for this, there will be some data structures which we have to understand. So what I'm telling you is just understand this small example. I will take this example after telling you what are the various data structures, and then I will show you how the data structures will be, what type of data structures, and how the values will be populated inside the data structures. Okay, so let's say these values are 0 and 3. I'm saying that these values are 0 and 3. Okay, so this value of m is set to initially 0. Right, so move r areg equal to 0, move m areg equal to address of x and address of m. So what is this value of m is 0. So this is 0 and this is 0. Right, so this plus this is 0. So this value is actually 0, and then it is incremented. So to be remain to there should be at least one condition. One point at least there should be at least one place where the condition has to be dissatisfied. So this is the place where it is going to make sure that the value will be incremented, and at this condition it is going to make sure that this incremented value reaches to the maximum value, and after some time it will remain inside the loop for some time, and at one time it has to come out. So when this will come out is, let's say n is actually 3, right? So this is 3, and this value is initially set to 1. At this place it is 1. So m is incremented and it has reached to 1. So 1 is not equal to 3. N stands for not equal to. 1 is not equal to 3. If it is true, it will go to more. So it will go to more, right? It will go to more and it will remain inside the loop. So it is going to make a loop here, and it will continue till now the value of m will be incremented, right? So m will be 2, then m will be 3, and so on. So once this value equal to 3, so not equal to 3, that condition will be false. So at this place it will come out. Otherwise it will go and continue with the and remain inside the loop. So this is a simple example. How we have created a loop is using AIF and the variable value which we have set for the expansion variable, which is m here in this case. Right. So having seen this, some basics of the macros, now we are in a position to understand we should know the data structures which are available for macro processor, and how to populate the data structure that should be that will be covered in the next video. Keep scroll through this video a couple of times so that you understand what we have seen till now.